Hello and welcome back to the Sensei's Kitchen Top, where we play Pauper Commander and other such casual games.
It's been a while as I haven't been able to record any Pauper Commander content in a very long time. However, today we have a very special occasion as we're watching a viewer-submitted game. Firstly, we have Andrew playing channel favourite Tatyova Benthic Druid, trying to play as many lands as possible and gaining value from that life gain and card draw. And Igor is playing Elas Il-Kor Sadistic Pilgrim, and he is on Aristocrats. Andrew keeps an opening hand with 3 islands, a forest, an explore, a silverback shaman, and a Firehaven elf. And Igor keeps a plains, a swamp, a witch's cottage, orcish medicine, sign in blood, armor of shadows, and a cursed marauder. As a heads up, there are a few mistriggers throughout the game, and specifically combat is not handled clearly in steps and phases. However, please remember before commenting that we are all just playing a game and having a whale of a time while doing it. And without any further ado, let's get to the game.
Igor opens with a witch's cottage. Andrew plays a forest and passes the turn. Igor plays a swamp and casts a Sign in Blood, losing 2 life and drawing 2 cards. Andrew plays an island for turn and pays 2 for an explore.
He plays his extra land and draws the card from explore.
Igor plays a plains and brings out his commander, Elas.
Andrew plays his forest as a land for turn and then pays 3 to cast a Firehaven elf, going to get another land. Igor plays an Orzhov Locket and passes the turn. Tapping 5 mana, Andrew brings out Tatyova. He plays his land for turn, gaining a life and drawing a card. Igor plays a second swamp and then casts a Tattered Mummy, gaining a life from his commander when it enters. He then plays a Feed the Swarm, killing the Tatyova, losing 5 life in the process. Igor sends his commander in as an attacker, and Andrew blocks with the Firehaven elf, killing it. On his turn, Andrew casts his silverback shaman, and then realises he needs a different colour, so retaps and taps an island instead. He then plays another island and casts a Grey Spiral, drawing a card and putting another land onto the battlefield. Igor plays his Accursed Marauder, choosing to sacrifice his Tattered Mummy, and Andrew has to sacrifice his Silverback Shaman. Andrew loses 2 life due to the mummy and then draws a card from his shaman dying. Igor follows up with a Hobbling Zombie, but does miss his Elas trigger, and then swings his commander, dealing 2 commander damage. Some dark magic occurs here and it's not a fan of the Hobbling Zombie. Igor returns it, but the powers that be are clearly not happy. Andrew replays his Tatyova, plays his land for turn, gaining a life and drawing another card. Another swamp comes down, and then Tithe Drinker joins the battle. Igor declares his attacks, and Andrew takes 2 commander damage and 2 normal damage from the Hobbling Zombie. Andrew taps 4 mana to cast a Tamio's Epiphany, scrying 4, then drawing 2 cards. He bottoms 1, keeping 3 on top before drawing. Igor plays a plains and then pays 4 mana to crack his locket, drawing 2 cards. He follows up by swinging in with all of his creatures. Andrew doesn't block anything, taking 2 commander damage and 6 normal damage. Paying the mana, Andrew plays out a Phantasmal Dreadmaw. He then pays an additional 4 mana to cast a Mistraven. When it enters the battlefield, he returns Igor's commander to his hand. He turns Tatyova sideways and does 3 commander damage to Igor. Igor attempts to cast Breathe Your Last to destroy Tatyova, but Andrew responds with a counterspell, putting it directly to the graveyard. Igor follows up by recasting his commander from his hand, and he pays 1 mana for Extort through Tithe Drinker. Andrew plays his land for turn, getting a life and drawing a card. Then pays 3 mana to cast Cloudkin Seer, drawing a card when it enters. 1 and 2 blue later, he casts an Aether Adept. When it enters the battlefield, he returns as the commander to the hand once more. Andrew attacks with Misthaven and Phantasmal Dreadmaw. The Dreadmaw is blocked by the Accursed Marauder, but due to Trample, Igor still takes 6 damage in total. Igor plays his Swamp for turn and recasts his commander. He pays some mana for this and then pays an additional 2 to cast an Imperious Oligarch, gaining a life off his commander. Follows this up with a Carrier Thrall, gaining another life when it enters. Andrew's turn and he pays 2 for a Volshock Morningstar. He plays an island for turn, getting a life and drawing a card. The Morningstar is then equipped to his Misthaven. He also casts a Thorn-Wheeled Archer. He declares attacks with the Phantasmal Dreadmaw, Misthaven, and the Cloudkin Seer. Igor takes 6 damage from the flyers first, and double blocks the Phantasmal Dreadmaw with his Oligarch and Hobbling Zombie, decreasing the trample damage to 3. When those creatures die, he gets a Spirit and a 2/2 Zombie, although he does forget his commander trigger to gain the life. He plays a land for a turn and taps 2 to play a Marble Diamond, and then pays an additional 1 to extort it using Tithe Drinker. Igor moves to declare attacks, swinging with his commander, his Zombie token, and his Thrall Carrier. Andrew declares his Aether Adept as a blocker for Igor's commander. Igor responds by casting an Orcish Medicine, activating his Tithe Drinker. But before damage, Andrew casts Appeal from Reality, bouncing Elas and the Aether Adept to their owner's hands. Andrew also blocks the Carrier Thrall with his Tatyova, killing the Thrall, which creates a token for Igor, and finally takes 2 damage from the Zombie token. Andrew plays his land for a turn, gaining a life and drawing a card. He then plays Savage Silhouette, enchanting his commander. Following this, an Elvish Visionary comes into play, drawing him a card. And plays a Walking Atlas. I love this little guy. Andrew swings in with Misthaven, Cloudkin Seer, and Tatyova. The Spirit and Human tokens block Misthaven and Tatyova, and Igor takes 2. Once more, Elas enters the battlefield. Tapping 2, Igor plays Mordor's Muster, losing a life, drawing a card, and amassing Orcs 1. Then he gains the life back through his commander. He also decides to pay the additional 1 to extort via Tithe Drinker. Igor declares his Zombie and his 1/1 as an attacker. Andrew trades the Elvish Mystic for the 1/1. And trades his Archer for the Zombie. On his turn, Andrew pays 3 for a Trollhide on his Cloudkin Seer. He then activates his Walking Atlas to put a land onto the battlefield, which gains him a life and draws him a card through Tatyova. Then cast Blink of an Eye with Kicker paid to draw a card and bounce Igor's commander back to his hand once more. He moves to attacks, declaring Tatyova, his Cloudkin Seer, and Misthaven as attackers, and also casts a Sweller on his Cloudkin Seer for an additional 2 damage. Igor blocks Tatyova with his Tithe Drinker, and Andrew puts the damage from his 2 flyers on. Igor then attempts to cast Aura of Shadows on his Tithe Drinker and marks the additional life that he gained from that. However, Andrew bounces the Tithe Drinker before damage is blocked, so he goes back down to 3. Back to his turn, Igor replays the Tithe Drinker and his commander, paying the extort cost through Tithe Drinker to drain and gain 1 life. He then swings in for 1 with his token. Back to Andrew, he counts out 8 mana in order to play an Eldrazi Devastator. For the final move of the game, Andrew swings in with his flyers, bringing Igor's life total to 0. Good game, lads. What a game. As you know, I love Tatyova, and Aristocrats is also one of my favourite archetypes, so this game was a treat to watch. Although Igor missed a few commander triggers, so would have had a little bit more life, I don't think it would have changed the outcome of the game, especially with Andrew having resolved the Eldrazi at the end. It was great to see some other players and decks on the channel, and I cannot thank Andrew and Igor enough for sending over the footage. They're in the channel Discord, which I'll link in the description, so feel free to say hi and thanks to them yourselves. I've also linked both of their deck lists. It's good to be back, but unfortunately I'm not sure what the future of Sensei's Kitchen Top looks like. I've recently moved to Germany, so finding more players and convincing them to try Pauper Commander is another step that would be needed. While not Magic related, I have considered streaming some video games in my spare time, so if that's something you're interested in, let me know. Despite all that, it's wonderful to be back, and I hope that you have all enjoyed your latest visit to the Kitchen Top.